20,409. That is how many cars Toyota sold in Australia in July. 1 month after coming within 243 sales of losing its crown to BYD. Not a slow recovery, a counterattack. That figure is from VFACTS, the industry's own sales data, and it came with a second number that should worry every Chinese brand in this country. The best-selling vehicle in Australia in July was not a ute, and it was not Chinese. It was the new Toyota RAV4, and nearly 4 in every 10 of them sold were a version Toyota had never offered Australians before. The empire is shooting back, and the weapon it is using is the one thing the Chinese brands have not been able to copy. 10 weapons in Toyota's counterattack, counting down to the big one. And if you watched the last video and thought the takeover was a done deal, this is the other half of the war. Last time on this channel, you saw the numbers tell one story. China overtook Japan as our biggest source of cars for the first time since 1998. Chinese-built vehicles took 35.5% of the market in June. BYD closed to within 243 sales of the most trusted badge in the country. Every one of those facts still stands. But wars have two sides, and in July, the other side finally opened fire. Here is what the fight back actually looks like, weapon by weapon, and what every one of these weapons means for the price of your next car. Number 10. The supply flood. The Toyota dealer with no stock is where this war nearly ended before it started. Toyota's own explanation for its terrible first half is not that Australians deserted the brand. It is that the cars simply were not on the boats. The new RAV4 launched late, the new HiLux landed at the same time, and Toyota came into the year knowing it was short. Toyota's sales boss, John Pappas, put it plainly. The biggest downfall this year was supply at the start, and the company has now secured more production from the global allocation, particularly on hybrids, to shorten waiting times for customers. Read that as a weapon because it is one. Toyota moved its global machine to feed Australia more stock in the second half. The showroom that was empty in March is filling up right now, and a Toyota you can actually drive away this month competes very differently against a Chinese brand than a Toyota with a 6-month wait. And if you were one of the buyers who walked out of a Toyota dealer this year because the wait was absurd, you were the entire battle. Every month you were told to wait was a month a Chinese brand had your deposit within reach. Toyota knows exactly how many of you it nearly lost, which is why the boats are suddenly full. Number 9. The admission. Toyota cannot beat China on price, and the most dangerous thing it ever did was admit it. That admission, reported straight from the company, sounds like surrender. It is the opposite. It is a general refusing to fight on the ground where he loses. Chery can put a family SUV under 30 grand. BYD can undercut anything Toyota builds because the cost base in China is simply lower. Toyota looked at that maths and made a decision. Stop pretending the sticker is the battlefield. Fight on running costs, resale, and the powertrain instead. So when you walk into a Toyota showroom and the price looks stubborn next to the Chinese alternative, understand that is not arrogance, it is strategy. Toyota is betting you will pay more upfront for a badge you trust and a fuel bill you can live with. The rest of this list is that bet, weapon by weapon. And you are the judge in this case, whether you like it or not. Every time you cross-shop a RAV4 against a Sea Lion, your decision is a vote on whether the strategy works. Toyota is not really fighting BYD. It is fighting for the version of you that still believes the cheaper car costs more in the end. Number 8. The electric ute nobody expected. The HiLux with a battery instead of a diesel is the weapon nobody saw coming from Toyota of all brands. The HiLux BEV landed this year at $74,990 with around 315 kilometers of range, dual-motor 4-wheel drive, and a target market that tells you exactly what it is for. Mining fleets. Toyota expects to sell only about 500 of them this year, and that is the point being missed. This is not a ute for the tradie in the suburbs, and Toyota knows it. It is a flag planted in the fleet market where mining companies and councils are under pressure to cut emissions and will pay for a Toyota badge on the invoice. Every Chinese brand wants the fleet contracts, and if you work for a miner or a council, you may end up driving the result. Toyota just parked a HiLux-shaped tank on that lawn. Small numbers, big signal, and a message to the market that the brand which owns the word ute in this country is not giving up any ground, even the electric ground. Number 7. The electric family car, stretched. The BZ4X Touring is Toyota fixing its weakest flank. For years the joke was that the world's biggest carmaker could not build a convincing electric car, and the Chinese brands built their entire invasion on that gap. Sea Lion, Atto, Model Y, all of them feasting on a segment Toyota barely showed up for. The Touring is the correction. More space, more power, more range than the car it grew from. Aimed at the exact family buyer the Sea Lion 7 has been harvesting. Nobody, including Toyota, expects it to outsell the Chinese metal overnight. Its job is different. It closes the gap enough that a loyal Toyota family, maybe yours, stops having a reason to leave. Every buyer who stays is a sale. BYD modeled on getting and did not get, and market share wars are won exactly there. One retained customer at a time. If you are getting value out of this, tap like and subscribe, because this is part 2 of a war this channel is going to keep covering, and the algorithm only shows you part 3 if you tell it to. Right, back to the arsenal, and from here it gets personal for your wallet. Number 6. The LandCruiser gets electrified. The LandCruiser 300 Performance Hybrid is the most symbolic weapon on this list. The LandCruiser is the most Australian vehicle there is, the king of the outback. And the purists swore it would be the last car on earth to go electric in any form. It just did, and the take-up embarrassed the purists. In July, 12% of every LandCruiser 300 sold in this country was the new performance hybrid. 1 in 8 buyers of the most conservative vehicle in Australia chose the electrified version in its first weeks on sale. That number matters far beyond the LandCruiser. It is proof that even the Heartland, the buyers the Chinese brands assumed were locked into diesel forever, will move when the badge they trust tells them the technology is ready. The Tank and the Shark are selling to the adventurous. Toyota just showed it can electrify the conservatives, and there are far more of them. Number 5. The dealer in every town. The Toyota dealership in a town of 3,000 people is a weapon no Chinese brand can buy quickly. Toyota has spent 70 years building a network that reaches places the newcomers have never heard of. And in a country this size, that network is worth more than any spec sheet. Buy a cherry in the city and service is easy. Buy 400 kilometers inland and you are learning what a thin dealer network actually costs. In days off the road, in parts freighted from a capital city. In a loan car that does not exist. The Chinese brands are expanding fast, and give them a decade and they may close this gap.
But wars are fought with the army you have. And right now, for any Australian who lives past the last set of traffic lights, the nearest dealer question has one answer, and it wears a Toyota badge. That is not sentiment. That is infrastructure. And infrastructure takes decades to copy. Run your own test on this one. Think of the town you grew up in, or the one your parents retired to, and ask which badges have a workshop within an hour of it. Your answer is Toyota's strongest weapon, and you did not even have to look it up. Number 4. The Trust Bank. 23 years at number 1 is the weapon hiding in plain sight. Toyota has been the best-selling brand in this country for 23 straight years. Last year alone, it sold 239,000 cars here, roughly what the next 7 Japanese brands managed combined. That run built something no marketing budget can buy. 3 generations of Australians who learned to drive in a Corolla, towed with a HiLux, and retired into a Camry. When the used market prices of 5-year-old Toyota thousands above the equivalent newcomer, that is the trust bank paying interest. The Chinese brands are building their own deposits, and honestly, faster than the Japanese did at the same stage. But trust compounds slowly, and it is spent quickly. Toyota's entire counterattack is funded from this account, and the balance, for now, is still enormous. Your own garage history is probably an entry in that ledger. If your family has ever run a Toyota past 300,000 kilometers, you are the reason the premium exists, and your story gets retold every time someone asks the internet whether the cheaper brand is worth the risk. That is not marketing. That is you doing Toyota's marketing for free because the car earned it. Number 3. The Ute held in reserve. The next HiLux is the weapon Toyota has not fired yet, and the outline of it is already visible. The coming generation moves onto the same underpinnings as the Prado and the LandCruiser 300, a proper platform jump, and the company has said openly there is always an appetite for a HiLux plug-in hybrid. Read the target list. The BYD Shark 6 put a plug-in hybrid ute into the exact heartland Toyota owns, and it has not been alone for long, with GWM and others piling in behind it. Toyota's answer is coming on a stronger platform, with the one badge in that fight that every tradie in the country already trusts. The Shark drew first blood in the Ute war. The HiLux that answers it is being loaded right now. And when the brand that has owned that market for decades brings a plug-in hybrid of its own, the most emotional front of this entire war gets decided. Not this year, but it is coming, and everyone at BYD knows it. Number 2. The RAV4 that took the crown back. The new RAV4 is the counterattack made metal. In July, its first full month, it became the best-selling vehicle in the entire country. 5,500 delivered, past the Ranger, past the HiLux, past the Chinese Wave, straight to the top of the exact chart the takeover was supposed to own. And inside that number is the sharper one. 39% of those RAV4s were the plug-in hybrid, nearly 2,500 of them, in a country that was supposed to be slow on plugs. Toyota priced it at $58,840, put its most trusted family badge on it, and Australians queued. This is the car doing the job the whole strategy depends on. It meets the Sea Lion and the Jolion in their own segment, with their own technology, and beats them with a badge. 1 month is 1 month, but the best-selling vehicle in Australia is currently a plug-in Toyota, and 6 months ago, that sentence would have read as a misprint. And if a RAV4 is on your own shortlist, the practical read is simple. The plug-in version costs more than you want to pay and less than you expect to lose, because the badge holds value at trade-in time in a way the newcomers have not proven yet. Whether that maths works for your driveway is your call. 40% of July buyers already made theirs. Number 1. The hybrid moat. The hybrid is the weapon the Chinese brands have not been able to copy, and it is the answer to the tease from the last video. Not hybrids as a product, hybrids as a reputation. Toyota has been selling them here for 25 years, since before some BYD engineers were born, and the word hybrid in an Australian pub effectively means Toyota. The July number that should terrify the newcomers is this one. More than half of everything Toyota sold that month was electrified, hybrid, plug-in, or battery. The brand painted as the dinosaur of this war quietly became the biggest seller of electrified vehicles in the country, without most people noticing, because it did it through Corollas and Camrys and RAV4s instead of press releases. The Chinese brands can match the technology on paper, and in some cases, beat it. What they cannot manufacture is a quarter century of taxi drivers putting 800,000 kilometers on Camry hybrids without drama. That story is the moat. Toyota is now pouring every new model it has into it, and the entire second half of this year, the 230,000 sales target, the whole counterattack, is a bet that the moat holds. And you will watch the bet settle from your own street. If the moat holds, your next few years look like sharper Toyota pricing, better equipped hybrids, and a used market where your trade-in stays strong. If it breaks, the discounts will tell you before any news report does. Either way, keep one eye on the driveways around you, because that is where this war actually gets scored. Number 0. BYD's side of the hill. I have spent this whole video loading Toyota's guns, so here is the other army's position, and it is strong. First, 1 good month is not a war won. BYD is still the second best-selling brand in this country this year, still growing triple digits, and its stated plan on the record is top 3 in 2026 and toppling Toyota by 2030. Companies that publish targets like that tend to be serious. Second, Toyota's supply excuse is Toyota's claim. The company says its weak first half was boats, not buyers. That is plausible, and it is also exactly what a company losing customers would say. The truth arrives in the December numbers, not in anyone's press conference. Third, the price gap is real and it is not closing. Toyota admitting it cannot compete on sticker means the counterattack only works while Australians can afford the premium. One recession, one bad year for household budgets, and the value argument starts winning fights the badge used to win. And fourth, the moat is narrower for the young. The 25-year hybrid reputation lands hardest on buyers who remember it. First car buyers do not have a Camry taxi story. They have a phone, a price, and no loyalty at all. And every year the market has more of them. So here is what is confirmed and what is not. Confirmed by VFACTS and the industry record. The July result, 20,409 sales and a 19.7% share. The RAV4 as the country's best seller with 39% plug-in take-up. The LandCruiser hybrid at 12%. More than half of Toyota's July sales electrified, the 4 model launch. Claimed, but not settled. That the first half was supply rather than desertion. That is Toyota's account of its own bad news. And still developing. The 230,000 target needs a monster second half. The next HiLux is not here yet, and BYD has not finished climbing. This war has years left in it. Now your turn, and after last video's comments, I know exactly who is watching. Whose side of this war is your money on? Tell me the badge in your driveway now and the badge you honestly think will be there in 5 years. Last time the comments split the country down the middle. Let us see if July changed any minds. And the next front is already burning. The brands caught in the crossfire, the Japanese and Korean badges that are not Toyota, the Mazdas and Nissans and Mitsubishis being squeezed between the Giant and the Invaders, and which of them will not survive the decade. That is the next video, so subscribe now so you do not miss it. Thanks for watching, and I will see you in that one.